And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Joaoedits, who writes, "Hey, John, we finally have new information on the Hunger Games prequel. The Hunger Games prequel film, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, will begin filming in the first half of 2022. That's, a little over 6 months away from now. That's actually pretty soon. The film is targeted for a theatrical release in either late 2023 or early 2024. I know it's still far away, but it's still great news and looking forward to it. What are your thoughts?" All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, I remember it was a while ago that they first mentioned that they were going to be doing a Hunger Games prequel that was going to focus on President Snow as a younger man, played by the good Canadian kid Donald Sutherland. That was going to focus on a young, I can't remember how you pronounce his name, Cornelius. Coriolanus. That it sounds like a sexual act. I don't like his name at all. Anyway, Coriolanus Snow. You'll never be able to hear it any other way again. Focusing on a younger version of him and all that kind of stuff. Now, I actually think that the character of President Snow was one of the more fascinating ones in Hunger Games. I thought he really was one of the more fascinating ones in Hunger Games. So, I thought it sounded interesting at first, but dude, I'll tell you what, that felt like that was ages ago. It feels like that was ages ago. And now they're saying, okay, now it's going to film in 2022 for release in 2023 or 2024. So we're talking 2 or 3 years from now that this could come out. And by the way, our friend Noah AG sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Noah. I got to say this. I don't know if there's an audience for this anymore. Now, Hunger Games was obviously one of the biggest pop cultural things going on at the time. The books, I still remember like in NBA games, they would go into the back and like LeBron James is reading Hunger Games during halftime. And like and the players are reading, like, and it caught on, like all these NBA players were reading Hunger Games during half, like it would caught on so big. And I quite enjoyed the movies until the final one. I didn't like the final movie, the second part of the last book. I didn't like that part. But like movie 1 and 2, I was really interested in. I liked them quite a bit. But since that time, and I get it, with Hunger Games done and with Twilight done, Lionsgate is really looking for that new franchise. Lionsgate is hungry for that new franchise, and I get that. But as the years have passed, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's just because I'm not really connected to the core demographic for this book, I just don't sense no pun intended, the hunger for continuation of this story. And I'll tell you what, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes doesn't do it any favors either. That's a terrible title. That's a terrible title. John, it's the name of the book. I don't give a shit if that's the name of the book. It's just not good. It's just not good. If there's a brilliant story out there, but the name of the book was, Shit on Feet. You should probably change the name of it for the movie version. Do a little bit of adaptation. Anyway, don't like the name of it. Maybe if I read the story, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes would make perfect sense to me, I suppose. I don't know. But anyway, Kimberly, maybe I'm just not connected to the demographic that this is going to be aimed at. But when the first Hunger Games movies were coming out, it was undeniable. There was a hunger for it. There was an excitement for it. There was a passion for it. I don't sense any of those things for this franchise. It was a very successful franchise. It had its day. Can this thing be as big of a hit as the originals were, or is this kind of misguided? What do you think?
I don't know, because the thing is that whole genre of films that jumped off because of the whole YA craze, these young adult books. And I felt like around that time, you always have kids that enjoy reading, but I remember more kids got more into reading books because of this whole YA craze and this, you had similar movies like Divergent, where you're in this post-apocalyptic survival and the kids are in charge kind of thing. The inmates are running the asylum. And I think the books really drove it. And also what drove it was the next book that's coming out, kind of like how you had the popularity of Harry Potter. it all started with the books. And I mean, the book came out what in 20 was it 2019 that Songbirds and Snakes came out, or was it 2020?
I can't even remember.
But it was recently. And so now when this film comes out, it's going to be pretty far away from the book. And unless she's doing another one right after, I kind of don't see people taking it on, because also that generation, I mean, of course, if you grew up with the, Hunger Games and you were a part of that YA craze and you were reading the books along and waiting for the next book and waiting for the next movie and who are they going to cast? There was so much excitement and buildup that made that whole catalyst work. And I feel like there's just no buildup for it. So I don't think it'll be a bad story. I mean, storytellers tell your story, but in terms of the young people or this generation, I mean, it's a whole new generation that didn't really see the Hunger Games.
Well, let's not act like it was as long ago as when South Park started.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that long ago, but in terms of remembering the craze of the books, that generation, I don't know that it's going to be as like, let's go see it. Let's wait in line for 3 hours. I waited in line with friends. I remember when the first one came out, like at night, it was one of those, like, bring your sleeping bag. I just don't see that kind of excitement, but we'll see.
Rob, I mean, you and I, we have seen, even just in the last 10 years, we have seen hot properties that remain hot. We've seen hot properties that go cold very quick. Where do you think this Hunger Games falls in? Is it too little, too late for Hunger Games, or could this truly be a big success? How do you see it?
Well, look, I mean, I would like to believe that movies are defined by, if it's a great movie with a great story and great characters, it'll succeed. But I do think that the problem with the thinking in Hollywood now, John, it's all about, we need to mitigate our risks. So can we advance a franchise even more? And the problem is that kind of thinking doesn't take into consideration a lot of other factors. That, like, well, this franchise kind of ran its course. It's Katniss Everdeen's franchise, at least on the movie screen. I mean, it is about Jennifer Lawrence and playing that character. I thought she was perfectly cast. When that book came out, I read Hunger Games when it first came out, only because I'd read Stephen King's review, I want to say, in Entertainment Weekly, and it just appealed to me. It was a lot along the lines of his Richard Bachman novel, The Running Man, that was obviously adapted, but the adaptation was nothing like the book. The book was more along the lines of The Hunger Games, and that's actually being readapted now. But it's like you said, franchises, the story of Coriolanus Snow, that's cool, but is that what people want to see from a Hunger Games movie? A young President Snow rising to power. That isn't exactly Katniss Everdeen with her bows and arrows kicking some ass and taking down a totalitarian government. I mean, I know it takes place in the same universe, but I don't think it necessarily works. And it's kind of bizarre, but that's the thinking in Hollywood, because they're like, oh, it's a Hunger Games movie. Here's how much money Hunger Games movies made. But no, Hunger Games movies made that money because you had Jennifer Lawrence playing Katniss Everdeen and those other two cast members playing Peeta and whatever. What was Homeboy's name? Hemsworth, the other guy, I forget. And I read
I think his name in the movie was the other guy. I think he's listed as the other guy.
But I mean, it's like, it's not just about
that. Seems like Liam Hemsworth's lot in life. He's the other one.
Yeah,
Liam Hemsworth's whole lot in life is he's the other one.
But I think that kind of thinking is what's problematic in a lot of our entertainment. Like, somebody greenlights this movie because they need a franchise. Why not find a new franchise? I mean, to me, no one ever got rich following a trend. You get rich in Hollywood setting trends, breaking new ground. But the problem is movies are so expensive to make that it's hard for them to do that. And I just don't think this movie, even the title, like we talked about, it doesn't exactly scream. I mean, The Hunger Games, that's a great title. The Hunger Games, Catching Fire. And then Mockingjay, if you've become a Hunger Games fan and you know the meaning of Mockingjay, even that's a cool title. But what is A Song of Ice and Fire? I mean, a song of what?
Songbirds and Snakes.
Songbirds and Snakes. I'm like, that sounds like a mid-'70s soft rock tune.
But listen, and let's say this. I have not read Songbirds and Snakes, the book.
Me neither. I read the other Hunger Games books.
Like, for all we know, it's the best book out of the entire thing. And for all we know, this is like the greatest story they've ever come up with in this universe. I mean, I mean, that's all possible. So I'm not making any commentary on what I think the quality of the story is. I'm just saying, from a pop cultural point of view, I don't sense that desire, that excitement surrounding this franchise like
It's
there was
almost
at
like
the time.
if Stranger Things, like with the popularity of Stranger Things was so popular. It's like if the mom, I forgot Winona Ryder's character, but like if she had a sister and you did a spinoff of the aunt, and
Yeah.
it's like just because it's connected doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean it's gonna be great. Like who's thinking about the aunt? I don't know. We'll
All right.
see.
Well, the question is for you guys. What do you think about this? I mean, again, for all we know, maybe it's potentially the greatest movie ever made. I just don't know that there's a real excitement for something like that right now. How are you guys feeling about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.